Look there on the juju's with Thresh. Cannot defend her. I cannot believe.
It's gonna be the game.
I can let it the final.
Mickey Well gets in behind him, trying to turn it his way. Wave onto everyone. Triple kill for Reindeer and Mickey Well, last man standing. It's a slugfest. Double kill, triple kill, double kill, quadra kill, double kill, triple kill. My God, that was amazing.
Hooks on, Big Swift has gone mega, but they killed us apart. Can't connect the chain, and Destiny, Hook is on, Swiffer is dead, Ray locked down Raze, Trippies gets that kill, and Spurs is stuck between the entire Wolfpack. Double kill for Fantix, they're running towards the Nexus.
G'day, happy Australia Day for yesterday, and welcome back to the OPL for week 2, of course, brought to you by Hungry Jacks. We're getting a look at the boys from Order right now, setting up at their computers, of course. They're going to be facing off against the Bombers, who are looking to take flight this week, Bryce. Unfortunately, last week, 0-2, they got stuck on the tarmac. There were some engineering difficulties, and the plane did not get in the air.
Could not take off.
But, of course, new week. Hopefully, their chances will be better today. Hello everyone, I am Jake Spawn Tiberi. Joining me is Bryce Egan-Pauls, former support and now full-time shoutcaster of the Chiefs Esports Clubs. New house, Bryce.
Yeah,
how's it going?
Now a resident of Sydney. Finally, don't have to bus it to and from Canberra anymore. Coming up for the show on the weekends. I actually live around the studio, so we can get stuck into it.
Yeah, it certainly is pretty good. I've lost a roommate there in my hotel, so I'm a little bit sad. However, looking at this matchup today, Melbourne versus Melbourne, the first time we've actually ever seen a local derby.
Yeah, first time ever. Most of the other teams here just rocking up houses around Sydney, but this year, 2018, we do see a lot of the teams going back to their home regions. We see Order in Melbourne and then Bombers following closely behind there.
Yeah, exactly right. And of course, we have another game after that. It's going to be Avant Gaming versus the Chiefs Esports Club for what should be our game of the week. Of course, then tomorrow at 2 o'clock, Direwolves will take to Summoners Rift versus Sin Gaming before Legacy, who looked amazing last week, try and take to the field against Tectonic. I mean, this Legacy lineup, didn't expect much of them after what was a tumultuous off-season, but Claire certainly looking good this season.
I mean, yeah, you say tumultuous. His early game 1, Juves just rocks up in the mid lane, flag and dragon. He just doesn't want to flash it. Just goes 0-2 in the Saving I mean, I don't know if I agree with that call there, but yeah, definitely had a rough early time, but turned it around, and then at the end of that game specifically, just did so much damage on the Azir. Back end of that, really pulled it around. So that's kind of what you want to see from Legacy this season. Completely new roster there. See if they can build up to the heights that Legacy has seen before.
Yeah, certainly do. However, to get back on track for this game number 1, Order versus Bombers, as we mentioned, it's the derby. As you've already mentioned, these two teams will be flying into the studio. Last week didn't seem to impact either of their performance. However, I mean, it is something new for these players.
Well, I mean, you say it didn't impact their performance, but Tiger was quite literally asleep before the game. He just got off the plane the day before. He had a good performance, but the Bombers just couldn't really unlock him on the map. He played well individually. Him and Rosie had a decent lane phase against Blinky and Jake, but they just couldn't seem to get him out of that situation, out of the lane phase to influence the map, to get themselves more map pressure to get a win.
I mean, and you've been in a situation before where, you know, you're new to a team, you changed from Legacy to the Chiefs, gaming house environment, everyone now together. It gels a little bit quicker than what you used to in the past. Of course, with the infrastructure behind the Bombers at the moment being situated out of the hangar, you'd expect this would be a pretty quick turnaround.
Yeah, I expect it is. And from that, we saw a good set of plays from him last weekend. And I think he has gelled immediately, but it does take time to, you bridge that early gap, the quick gap, to be like, hey, like, I'm working with these guys every single day. It's easier to get up to some sort of parity, but then you want to go from okay or average to good to great, right? And that just takes time, and I guess the facilities there at the hangar will help them out there, but it does just take time.
Yeah, see whether they have had enough time today. However, before we fully preview this match, let's throw it over to Laura at the Analyst hangar.
Thanks, Jake. I'm joined here once again by Carbon, who's going to help break down today's games. Carbon, how are you? What have you been up to since we saw you last?
I'm good. Happy Australia Day, everyone, for yesterday. No, I've been good. Yeah, I've just moved house again this week. I'm living with Bryce Egan-Pauls. So I've been at the flat stick. No, excited for this weekend's games.
You guys have moved into almost an ex-pro gamer house. But tell me, what's going on with the shoe story today?
Oh, well, I'm just trying to keep it a bit ocean-themed, that's all. You know, Australia Day. I didn't get to enjoy it yesterday because I was putting Bryce's furniture together. So I thought I got to enjoy it on the broadcast today.
All right, well, before we jump into this first game, I want to grab your thoughts on the series and what your prediction is for it.
First game, it'll be, I think it's going to be tough for Bombers to take a game. As much as I'd love Aaron Choo-Choo's Bland to pop off today, I don't really see it happening. Order had a great first week, and I think they're just going to be too strong, 2-0.
I'm going to give it a 2-0 to Order as well. But remember, if you at home would like to make your own predictions, head on over to opltips.com.au. We've got XP boosts and RP prizes up for grabs, as well as $25, $50 and $100 Hungry Jacks vouchers. For more information, make sure you head on over to the website at opltips.com.au. The Radium Medal is also back this year, and now you can vote for your MVP from each series over on the Oceanic Pro League Facebook website. Each player you vote for will get 1 point added to their tally, and then the player with the most votes at the end of the split will be crowned our radio.
Can they vote for me?
Maybe if you get back on the Legacy squad, sure.
Vote for me, please.
Who are you voting? Or who did you want to vote for MVP in the last series?
The last Legacy series,
yes,
I thought Claire played really well. I think, he did have a tough early game, sort of as Bryce mentioned, but I think it's a sign of a maturing player when you can fall behind early and then still turn around and carry the game. And I think that the game 2 from him was pretty stellar as well. So Brandon, Claire, Nguyen would definitely get my vote.
Well, he did turn that first game back around anyway, but
absolutely.
Thank you for your prediction, Carbon. But to get jumped into this first series, let's hand it back over to Jake and Bryce.
Thanks so much, Laura and Carbon. So we are about to jump into the first series, and I do want to quickly touch on the Bombers because we're going to see another roster change. It's going to be Bushy Boo Boo subbing in, no more Artiferns. So what part of the map now do Bombers play towards? Because once again, this team has seen lots of shuffles already.
Absolutely, and that's what we look to see them stylistically, see if they do change it up this game here. Last weekend, they seemed to not really play around the bot lane. Rosie was playing the Shen, and why do you pick Shen, right? You want to ulti to top side, play through that lane. You want to give them the pressure, but it didn't work out with Artiferns up there. Obviously coming in today, Bushy Boo Boo, he is a support main, I believe, with a bit of Lee Sin there, so interesting to see how he fills into the roster, but they have had a week now. You see the two coming up on your screens where Tiger and Rosie have been able to scrim together and they have been able to build up this synergy. Do they now shift this to give Tiger more priority in the bot lane?
Yeah, exactly right. However, this week I feel like it's going to be a whole different challenge as they are going up against one of the best returning bottom lanes from the OPL. It's going to be FBI and Rogue, and they had a pretty good first week.
Yeah, this to me is a budget stress test, right? You just bought a new computer. The Bombers went down to the store and they bought a new computer and they're like, look, I play League of Legends, but I need it to run well. And they played against Blinky and Jake and they were like, okay, like we can do this. We're pretty good. But now they've just picked like the newest game on the market with the best graphics and they've just dialed it up to Ultra, and that's FBI and Rogue. So see if their computer, see if the Bombers can handle it this weekend in the bot lane. See if Tiger and Rosie can do it.
Yeah, exactly right. Of course, Thresh might be picked up by Jake. That's an amazing
really
photo. He really is happy about that one there. But I like what you're saying. I mean, right now, Blinky and Jake, to me, they've always been incredibly solid. And I think Blinky actually made a tweet throughout the week that, you know, they're a team without a superstar. Jake seemed to take a little bit of an issue with that. However, unarguably, right now, FBI and Rogue are both superstars in their own right.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, coming in from last season, good performance last week as well. Absolutely there. But from the side of Order, what do we expect from them today? They were versus Tectonic. They did get the 2-0. The second game was very hard fought, but I think their drafting was questionable a little bit. They did end up winning the games, but like they were just drafting 3 losing lanes, 2 losing lanes, and coming out with the wins anyway. If they do that against a better team, can they be punished? Can Bombers punish them today if they do that again?
Yeah, internationally we have seen it is hard at the moment to stylistic punish scaling with, you know, Malzahar, Azir, Gangplank, just so much wave clear is so easily accessible. 80 carries are a little bit unkillable.
Well, 80 carries are boring. Yes, I'm 100% boring. Like, who cares about the lane phase?
Cogmore. I've seen so many Cogmores sell boots at the moment and just run at tanks and like 3 hit them.
But think about what you just said. 6-item Cogmore.
Yeah.
When does that happen? At 40 minutes into the game? Like, I want action. I want to get into game. I want laning phase. I want Rogue on Thresh level 2. Just go. Just let's go hard. I want action from the get-go. I don't want to wait half an hour.
You want it to happen to someone else.
Shield Cogmore with a 500 health like Targon shield.
Yeah, it's all right. Cool. I can accept that.
I'm a big fighter in the bot lane. I'm a fan of that. And this is not the meta. We've just got Ardent Saucy and just made it budget Relic Shield, and then we've got the same meta, and it's coming in now. So
yeah, it certainly is. I mean, when we look around other parts of this map, we're going to see what was a legacy matchup in Choo Choo's versus Swiffer. Swiffer heavily targeted Shock with bans last week. The Urgot came out and arguably struggled throughout that early game.
I think it's not arguable. I think he absolutely did.
I mean, Shock was 5-0, right, at one point. So what do you think about this matchup? You've obviously been on both ends of it, I think.
Yeah,
now.
I mean, it's pretty storied, and it has been up and down from either side. I think there were definitely times and metas that suited Choo Choo's. He's been a long-time Mega Zed player. In 2014 Wildcards, his Zed was for its time. Amazing. Obviously, everyone gets better with time and everyone levels up. So if you watched it now, it doesn't seem that impressive, but he was just absolutely popping off at the time, just dodging all abilities with his shadows, and it's incomprehensible what he was doing. And then nowadays, more recently, I think Choo Choo's not on a full-time roster nowadays, so Swiffer has the upper hand there. Coming into the game this morning.
Yeah, we'll see whether Choo Choo's can rise to some of his previous heights, because I agree, the first time I ever saw Choo Choo's play, it diving in between turrets on Assassins. Very good mage player as well. I mean, cannot understate how good this guy can be. Of course, the other roster that is actually, let's just go to the Bombers lineup as we take a look at them and bring them up on your screen. It is going to be Bushy Boo Boo in the top lane, of course, recently subbing in for Artifact. Seb is their jungler. Choo Choo's the man we just spoke about, is their substitute mid laner. Tiger and Rosie is their bottom lane. And I believe that Windows Monkey is sick this week, so Somber will be joining them on stage.
Coming in with a different coach. Pretty interesting there, switching that up week to week. A bit of a Brucey situation for AV. And we do have on the other side of the rift, the boys from Melbourne as well. Tally in the top lane. We do have Spooks and Swiffer rounding out the mid-jungle duo, FBI and Rogue in that bottom lane down there.
And of course, a blank coach.
Yeah,
no one
where's
there
the coach?
at the moment.
Where's the coach, man?
I have no idea where is the coach. That's a very good question. Still looking for one. Yeah, tweet at me, Spawn, and we'll figure it out.
Yeah, hit him up.
Yeah. So when we have a look at this matchup, we've already spoken about multiple areas. What do you think about Seb and Spooks? Because Seb is a jungler that, I mean, he played a lot of tanks. People say they like him when he's on aggressive picks. Spooks, for some time now, has seemed good, but he hasn't really crushed as he used to in the jungle.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Spooks is, I don't want to call him meta-reliant, but he definitely does have metas where he's much better, much more impactful. You single-handedly tilted him off Lee Sin for all of last season, so let's we'll just leave that one on the surface level. But yeah, it's pretty interesting as we do get into Champ Select here. This matchup, can Seb have a good performance? I think he's a fairly inconsistent jungler throughout the last season. Coming into this year, he is full-time because he was juggling uni, juggling professional gaming last split, so couldn't devote enough time to the game, some would say. And now coming up against Spooks, arguably one of the best junglers in the league, so can he step up to the plate?
I mean, I think it's inarguable that, Spooks and Shern are kind of the two best junglers that we see at the moment. I think that the thing is that Spooks doesn't measure himself against other people. He just measures himself against, Spooks and the heights that he had. So
he just watches score.
He just watches score awards all the time. Yeah. But in saying that, it is a very open meta at the moment for jungle. Yeah. We see a lot of Rengar, Kha'Zix, but we're also seeing Zac, Sejuani, Gragas, Jarvan. Skarner was picked up twice this morning in the ULCS. So, all over the shop. However, picks and bans coming through already. Bombers take away Cogmore as well as Braum, which I am ecstatic about. If we can get a Tahm Kench ban, actually might be an exciting game of League of Legends. Malzahar and Azir are gone from the order lineup. Cassiopeia joins the bench.
Yeah, Cassiopeia joins the bench. We did see Ryan playing that one to great effect last weekend, but it'll be interesting to see the changes week to week. Obviously, we still are on the same patch, 8.1, but this week overseas, we've been seeing a lot more Galio. We have seen some adaptations on this same patch, so interesting to see if these Oceanic teams do subscribe to the international playbook here and switch it up, or if we see the same priority. We did see a lot of Cogmore first picks, Braum first picks. They are banned away, obviously, by the Bombers here, so they don't want to be picking that one up.
Yes, certainly. I mean, we've already spoken about how good FBI and Rogue are. You don't want to give them the better late game. You still want to be able to take it to them. I feel like in this matchup, with Choo Choo's and Bushy Boo Boo being subs on the top side of the map, Tiger and Rosie need to be able to win their lane.
And unfortunately, you've been given a Tahm Kench, so we might have a stable bot side of the map here for the Bombers. Not too much fighting is going to be going on, but what you did just mention is pretty interesting, right? The subs are only really affecting the top side of the map here for the Bombers, but some would argue that Order, based on last week's play and just their lineup in general, their bot side is stronger. Tally, he hasn't been losing lanes, but he hasn't been winning them nearly as hard as FBI and Rogue, so the bottom side of the map for Order is significantly stronger. So it is this it is his gear check basically for the Bombers. Can they stand up to the best side of order?
And I think that it is important to note that League of Legends right now, it is difficult to win 3 lanes simultaneously.
Oh, it should be difficult.
Yeah.
All of like if you get 3 winning lanes at a draft, the other team has royally messed up.
Made a mistake. And also, if you push up every lane, it does leave you open to make mistakes. Obviously, you know, vision should be good and all that stuff, but at times you can be punished for it. So it makes sense if Order want to play towards FBI and Rogue. That tally in the top lane does, for now, need to play something like Gangplank that has some global pressure. We can see that the global pressure is actually being picked up by Swiffer in this game, as Galio will be joining the Rift. As you mentioned, has been picked up internationally.
Yeah,
Jarvan and Corki.
That's one we haven't seen too much of.
And Corki didn't beat Galio when they were both popular last year.
Yeah, Corki doesn't do enough in the early game to punish Galio. He could just push in the wave as the Galio and then roam to the side lanes, and Corki doesn't have CC to be able to cancel it. He can poke him in, do a bit of damage, but a lot of people think that he doesn't bully around Galio enough to warrant being called a counter pick, because Galio can still do what Galio wants to do, but he does outscale. We saw Fantix basically just pick Corki the entire season. Entire like latter end of 2017, and would just outscale people, farm near perfectly, then just be a late game monster 2 levels like 10 minutes before anyone else.
Yeah, we'll see whether Choo Choo's can channel Fantix, who last year I feel was just in a league of his own. There was kind of everyone else, and then Fantix at the top. Alistair picked up. I want to talk to you about this because you were a big Rakan player when Swiffer was on Galio.
Yeah.
Alistair kind of like old Rakan?
A little bit.
Rakan before Rakan? Is that fair to say?
Functionally, they're pretty similar in the team con, right? You just need a form of primary engage for Galio to come in over the top. So obviously, Bombers saw that Galio pick and then smartly took the Jarvan away immediately. The other S-tier jungle pick in the Sejuani is still available, but can't get into the backline as easily.
Zach.
So, well, you do have Zach, yeah, but Ali will serve that purpose here. If he has Flash, he can 100% get on the back line. There's nothing they can do.
If he goes Spellbook, mate, your man Mig over in the LPL could go Ghost Flash and see if he can get in there. We'll go through the bans quickly. Gangplank, Kha'Zix taken away by the Bombers. Sivir, as well as Varus, taken away by Order. So really attacking Tiger's champion pool here. And you can see that they're hovering Nah right now, looking to get once more a good lane, but it's pretty safe at the moment.
There are still options up for Tiger. You do have the Caitlyn, you do have the Tristana, things like that. But obviously, we were talking about how we think the Bombers should be playing this matchup coming into it. They have left Tiger's pick this late. Normally, you do see a lot of the time a jungle and then a bot lane duo picked up the first 3 rotations.
Especially if the other team grabs Ezreal.
Yeah,
because Ezreal at the moment, if you let him scale through the game, is just a nuisance.
I mean, Vayne has always been one of the counters. Actually, they lock in the Caitlyn like to Ezreal, right? He has a pretty weak laning phase. Vayne gets through that fairly easily and then gets to be a late game monster. Caitlyn will outrange, so already the Bombers have such a great team composition. They have the safety out of the Tahm Kench to pick up any of the 80 carries, and they can just be flinging spells under the turret, taking pot shots at towers, and on the lineup of Order, all they really have right now is Galio for the wave clear.
One thing I will say, however, is it does take a while for all of the Bombers lineup to come online here. We're looking right now at Corki, definitely not what he was when he was, you know, definitely, like, I think he lost something ridiculous, like a full Ninja Tabby's worth of damage on his auto attacks after the nerfs came through. Caitlyn lost a Zeal item worth of attack speed, so she needs 3 items at the moment. Corki kind of needs the 2, and we can see it was Zach that rounds out the comp. So a lot of backline dive coming out of Order, but you might say lacking in damage, potentially?
Potentially, if they do fall behind. There's a lot of tanks on the side of Bombers, right? They have an Ornn, just absolute mega tank. Jarvan, if he does go the Cinderhawk build, will be very tanky, and Tahm Kench. But looking at Order's comp right now, they just have so much steamroll ability, for lack of a better word. They have Zach engaging, they have the Nah, they have the Ali going over the top, the Galio coming down, and they did pick a very self-sufficient AD carry. So I think it makes a lot of sense. Ezreal can peel for himself. He doesn't need someone to be sitting next to him, keeping him alive against the likes of the Ornn, who's going to be diving against him in the backline. But interesting thing with the Ornn, that made it all the way through the draft phase with Braum banned early.
Yeah, and we've seen that it's lost a little bit of priority. Nah has emerged for a counter pick within the laning phase. His crowd control does seem to be a little bit unreliable, because if you CC him as the Ram is coming in, you can't knock it back. I think that overall he was one of those picks that I thought personally would be incredibly strong, but given the state of 80 carries right now and the lack of attention to topside, it just seems that you can pick any tank really right now. We've seen a lot of Cho'Gath come back for exactly that reason, and they can just get through to late game.
Yeah, absolutely. So we see if it does come out that way, see if Bushy Boo Boo can survive himself up in the top lane. We saw Artifern struggle last weekend there against the likes of Pabu. So see if Tally can give him the same sort of treatment against the sub of the Bombers. See if teams are going in with the same strategy, or we will attack the subs. Just try and put Tiger on an island in the bot lane. Don't touch it and just rail through top lane, really.
And I mean, honestly, if that is what happens to the Bombers today, in this game one at least, you would have to say at least part of their draft needs to be questioned because they didn't give Tiger any priority. His support is a Tahm Kench, which unless you've got some very good level 2 cheese prepared, is hard to 1v1.
But interestingly, for the Tahm Kench, right, is with Caitlyn makes him a very good all-in lane. You can eat someone, spit them onto a trap, so it's not all passive. Yeah, I think there definitely are opportunities, especially against the likes of an Ali.
Yeah, we'll see whether they're able to make it work. However, we do have Laura alongside with one of the coaches.
Okay.
Cool. Thanks, guys. I'm standing here with Sombre, stepping in as coach for the Bombers. How have you found it, subbing in as a coach, and how's preparation been different because of it?
Well, it's part of our development for me as the OCS coach, so we thought, given the fact that we have 2 subs, it would be a really good opportunity for me to step in and be the coach. So it's been going quite well.
And Tiger's been here for a week now, but how have him and Sleeping been meshing into the team together?
We've been going really well. We've had a solid week of scrims at the Essendon training facility, and we're really looking forward to showcasing the full roster next week.
And now we've got a Corky in the mid lane as well. How do you think he stacks up against Galio?
I think it's a pretty even matchup, but our comp will probably outscale theirs mid-game to late game, so we're looking towards that.
Well, best of luck with the game, and thank you so much for talking to us today.
No problem. Thank you.
All right, so looking to scale, as we mentioned. We also saw some sick harass come out of Tahm Kench early in this game. Already burnt a potion, and a level 2 gank actually coming out of Seb here. Swiffer actually in some trouble. Red buff is applied. Flashes out of the combo. However, that is a lot of health gone. And already a flash burn.
That is a big deal, yes. With a very immobile in the mid lane on the Galio. This just does give Choo Choo's room. Range versus melee matchup. He's just going to be able to bully him around. Now, does have to respect Spooks on the gank pressure, but you did see that early invade. They did see where he started, so they will be able to track him fairly effectively and give Choo Choo's a good time.
Yeah, and I like that from Seb. We said that this is a player that needs to be aggressive. We like him a lot more when he's not just looking to scale. So we'll see whether they can keep that up. Across the board, it looks like right now, Order is being pushed in on the bottom side of the map.
One thing I do want to note, Abyss, now Bombers, have been one of the teams that have taken the most care of the OCS rosters. A lot of the players coming up into the OPL recently do come from that lineup. We have 9 out of the 40 players in the OPL have found Abyss their home in the last 6 months. So as you saw Sombre in that interview, stepping in this week because they do have the subs. Definitely, you see the Bombers, despite the fact that they have taken over from Abyss, they're keeping that tradition going and investing in the B tier players. Though.
Yeah, I think that it's really important because one thing that we've always said is, you know, where is it next, like up and coming people who is challenging, you know, back last year the likes of Swiffer, Fantix in the mid lane. I mean, we had Rama. Actually, Swiffer being all in here might be in some trouble. Ignite goes down from Swiffer, however. See whether he can get him. Heal is out. First blood goes over to Choo Choo's and Swiffer is dead.
And Swiffer didn't even want it. He tried to EOA, but because of the backdash there, hits into Choo Choo's, blocks it, and then he just picks himself up a free kill.
Yeah, really nicely played from Choo Choo's there as well. Flashed out of the damage, made sure he burnt the heal as well, so was able to stay alive. That's going to be a full minion wave miss.
Not to mention, he has Spellbook, and he did try and win the all-in with the Ignite, so he can't TP back to lane. He's going to miss the entire wave.
Yeah, exactly right. So 7 CS as well as that first blood gold right now over to the Corky. We already said such a good scaling champion. One of the, I think he is the only champion that has magic damage that can crit. I mean, unless you count something weird like, even Gnar Ultimate does physical damage, so he's the only champion.
Gnar Ulti crit?
Yeah, Gnar Ulti, if you hit the wall, has a crit animation. So technically, Randuin's Omen reduces the damage if you hit the wall on Gnar Ulti.
I didn't know that.
There you go, fun fact
cool.
for you. Don't know when
not
it's actually useful,
relevant,
but
yeah.
Like, hey, there's a Gnar in the game, maybe we'll see Orm build one.
You're not going to build a Randuin specifically for the Gnar, but it's kind of a cool interaction. I like that stuff. The small things that you can think about just adds value to the item. I think that's cool.
Yeah, it certainly is. I'll let you know if I can think of any other. Right now, Bushy Boo Boo just stops in the middle of the lane to build an item.
Just chilling.
Is going to be that Mana Crystal. Of course, that's part of Orn's unique hit there.
Does have the Spellbook here in the difficult matchup, so he opts in early for the Ignite. Gives him a bit more lane pressure so he doesn't get bullied around by that Gnar, and then he's looking to scale back up. Will base eventually when he decides he wants to actually go back to base instead of buying things in lane.
Yeah, and I mean, it just makes it even more pressure if Seb can get up there. We've already seen him impact one lane that ultimately led to a first blood for Choose.
Yeah, and we haven't seen Spooks yet. He hasn't done anything. He's on the Zac. Very weak early game jungler. Kind of needs levels in his E to be able to influence lanes because level 1, that's a very short range. As we do see Seb potentially looking for another opportunity, but will walk over a ward.
Yeah, so Tally will be able to spot him out right now. As you mentioned, does back away. So maybe not much coming out here, although it is about to go Mega. We can see right now, interrupts the Valk actually, so that might be Choose falling down. No flash available. That will be Swiffer coming in. See whether they hand the kill over. They do. So, as you were mentioning, Spook's not all that busy, does pick up a kill.
Yeah, he just ganked straight over the pink wall there. Choose was placing that one down. Spooks comes flying in over the top, has 3 points in his E now. Level 5 Zac, so has that extra range. As you said, cancel the W. That was the big thing. Choo-Choo's had no flash because he used it in the first fight.
Yeah, and I mean, Kelly Trolls, old school name, used to pick Malphite into Corki for that exact reason, that if you're quick enough on these knockups, it knocks him out of Valkyrie, which is such a long cooldown. So we see right now, pretty back and forward game. Gold relatively even. Check in with the CS. Bottom lane, dead even. Top lane, dead even. Mid lane, 10 CS now for Swiffer, although he's just pushed a wave into the turret.
Yeah, Choo-Choo's just going to pick that one up, but that does do a lot for Swiffer in that matchup. That would just get worse with time, and now he does get that kill back on his own side there. Infernal Drake again. It's a bit of an engage. Nope. Turn around. Rosie just pops a beating on the back end of that. FBI just flinging stuff at him. That's going to hurt.
I mean, with the Klepto on FBI, of course, this is 8.1, guys, so it hasn't been nerfed yet.
Yep. Before Ezreal got butchered on 8.2, lost almost all of his damage, level 1 and his Mystic Shot, and then Klepto
gone as well.
Just gone, yeah.
Ooh, we see a tempted knock up out of Bushy Boo Boo, and we see one more time that, actually goes for the ram, gets the slow, gets the knock up. Seb's going to fly in here. Teleport's coming across as well. He's just going to die, and the cancel is there. Order all out of sorts with that.
Yeah, Tally just didn't respect the re-engage. He dodged the first one, and Jarvan showed. Seb was like, hey guys, I'm here, but I can't do anything right now, but steps up to the plate anyway, and then Tally finds himself in a precarious position. Does have the TP, so we will get back to the wave, but...
And this is the counter pick that I'm talking about, that I talked about in the early game. Obviously, Tally saw it as that as well, was willing to blind pick it, however, still falling down that kill. And Seb's early game has been exactly what the Bombers need.
Yeah, exactly. Pretty much. He's affected both solo lanes right now. Bot lane is tracking just very fine right now. They're 15 CS up, but I do think the wave is pushing in, so FBI is going to pick that one up for himself. But as you said, Seb influencing both solo lanes now. And Nah does get better in this matchup as he approaches Black Cleaver. As he gets those items and gets the Frozen Mallet in the mid game, he does want to split push, and that's where he really becomes a problem. And Bushy Boo Boo will struggle to deal with that one, but...
In saying that, Bushy Boo Boo has gone an aggressive item build. He's picked himself up a Sheen. Normally we see a little bit more tank stats coming out.
I mean, if he has the advantage right now, why not? If he can start bullying around Tally, that's enormous. If Tally just becomes a non-factor in the mid game, that is absolutely huge for this lineup of the Bombers. If they can hold him in the side lane, then they really only have one form of engage in the Zac that they really need to worry about. Ali, unless he can get behind you, that's just covered with good vision control, right? Rosie can deal with that, Seb can deal with that, but then all they have to worry about, if they are setting up these sieges on the turrets, they have the Corki poke, they have the Caitlyn poke. All they have to worry about is spooks, and that makes their life a lot easier.
Certainly does. Of course, Tahm Kench going to be able to eat one person out of that engage as well, as long as he doesn't get hit. So pressure on the veteran Rosie to be able to perform today.
Nah, Rogue has gone straight Moby Boots. He's gone back, hasn't upgraded his Relic Shield to the Targons, bought himself a Ruby Crystal, but he wants to get into the mid lane. There's so much CC. Ali, Zac, and Galio. If you ever get onto Choo-Choo's, he didn't take the cleanse. He took the heal. So if you ever get any sort of CC on him, he will die.
Yeah, if you interrupt one of... if you interrupt the Valkyrie, you feel like the flash against what is Zac, Galio, Alistar, probably not going to be
If you're paused for a second in your Valkyrie animation as it gets interrupted, your flash distance is basically covered by Galio's taunt. So there's just no getting away from Swiffer there if that ever happens.
One thing I do want to talk about, which you spoke about briefly last week, as there's only one of them left in the game, thought I'd give you a window, is the minion dematerializer has been picked up by Order's mid laner. Wait a second, actually. There's going to be an engage in the mid lane. Tally this time chunks out Bushy Boo Boo. Seb shows, but that was a very one-sided trade. And in the bottom lane, that's going to be a big engage. Knock up onto Tahm Kench. They're looking to see whether they can get anything. Steps onto a trap. True Shot Barrage will miss. And that was a nice evaded gank.
And the plays in both side lanes seem to fizzle. The top lane gank out of Seb didn't amount to anything. Tally gets away scot-free, and then Swiffer burns The entrance there out of Galio. They burn the ulti and don't get a whole lot. They get Rosie's flash, but Tiger, nice trap placement.
I mean, in Rogue, looks like he burnt both summoner spells. Yep. So that was an ultimate and a summoner spell advantage game right now from Bombers. And you have to say that much like Twisted Fate and Talia, if you don't make it work in the early game, a little bit more difficult as the game progresses to make that kind of thing work.
I mean, not to mention he did go for the Moby Boot first purchase, so other than that gank right now that has pushed the Bombers bot lane in, they were just shoving in FBI and Rogue. They couldn't get out. He can't affect the map. He has these Moby Boots, but if he can't get out from under his turret, then what purpose do they serve? As Seb might look to check the Dragon here, but it might just be going over to Order. And
we see engagement onto Choose already. He's just going to get exploded. That means they leave the pit, however. Potential window for Seb, however. He just goes in, gets a heck back out, doesn't want anything to do with that. Infernal Drake to Order.
They just didn't have vision in the pit there. The ward was played super late. Rosie coming back from base. They did have to wait for him to get there to be able to place that one, so Choo Choo just steps slightly too far forward. The CC comes out, he falls down. And Seb, he's just looking. He's looking for an opportunity, but he just can't find it. That will be Infernal Drake over to Order.
It is going to be. Tank Jarvan picked up. We've kind of seen, you know, 80-20. Some Jarvans have gone a little bit more AD, but Tank seems to be rising back to the top.
It's because Ornn went Sheen, man. He's got the damage. Jarvan's like, hey, I'll bring the CC. I'll bring the tank. You can.
Ornn actually does damage.
Yeah, his base damage is absurd.
Yeah.
Not to mention he applies Brittle and then you're just CC'd for longer. It's real rough. Real rough.
See, first package picked up by Choose. Will be close to fizzling out. See whether he can impact anywhere on the map. And I mean, Tiger's being chipped at the moment, but Rosie is here. That's a lot of damage, however. Seb also in the bottom lane.
Unfortunately, on a ward, FBI probably shouldn't have flung that at him there. Could have baited him to stick around. Yeah, that's one of those things you see in solo queue when, I don't know, you watch a low elo game and the jungler's there and you see the AD carry top like, oh, hi Jarvan. And you're just like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Don't tell him you know he's there. Just waste his time. Let him sit in the bush.
Mean, we say that, but Bombers have just cancelled the recall twice. And now they've 3-stacked the bush, so I don't think they know.
They have to know now. You just got hit in the face. What? Just leave! It's not going to work. This whole time, Spooks has just walked into the top side. They've brought Swiffer as well.
Yeah, that's actually going to be a turret dive. In comes the Galio. Grand entrance. Jumping forward is Nah. Actually just misses the ultimate. Stopwatch comes out. Bushy Boo Boo, you're probably dead, mate.
Yep.
They give that over to the Galio.
He was looking to buy time, though, because Abomas on the other side of the map are looking for the turret. Top side is half health. What is going on in the bot lane? FBI and Rogue are trying to defend, but that's really low.
Yeah, it certainly is. It looks like it's going to fall down. So even though top lane falls, that is going to be first turret over to Bombers. Order will trade back, but I mean, that's an inevitable trade with how much time they spend in the bottom lane.
100%. Rosie looking for another flank here. Gets behind the turret. They're just straight up diving.
Yeah, FBI goes forward. Looks to see if he can pick up Choo Choo's. Not going to work. Now Rogue has to walk this one out. Flash forward out of Jarvan. So he's just going to fall down as well. Trap will be there to lay us some CC. Actually, looking over the wall, there is no Gromp there.
He wanted to headbutt the Gromp.
That was, I mean, if it works,
yeah, it's creative play. 100% would have got him out of there, but
one thing I want to point out is Order's bottom lane don't give up the turret. They don't walk away. They just stay and fight, and they both die.
Yeah, disrespect there. Absolute disrespect. Rosie, Abyssal Voids just brings them behind. They're just stuck under their turret. FBI dashed forward because he had to. He had no other options there. Looking for a trade kill if he could, but they lost the first brick. And then they lose 2 kills on top of that. They are getting themselves a Rift Herald here whilst the Bombers do reset, but you have to think that's a lot of map control over to Bombers from a losing position.
Yeah, 100%. So really well played from Bombers, you can tell. Discipline is there. Maybe a little bit of a brain fade from the Order lineup, or maybe just some undisciplined play. But that does put Bombers, really, 500 gold. This game's dead even at 14 minutes.
And something super interesting I just thought about is the Corki vs Galio matchup. They functionally work pretty similar. They're both just window-based mid laners. Corki's just going to keep pushing you in, going to look for poke damage, and then he's going to back and look for a play with his package. And Galio's just going to sit in lane, just going to be farming up, trying to keep you off his turret. Then he's going to be looking for the plays with his ulti there. And Swiffer has been able to get around the map, and Choo Choo's has not. So you have to think Swiffer has been more effective, and this Corki counter pick hasn't done too much for them yet, but we did say it scales much better. Once you get late game, once Corki gets some items, we'll be doing tons of damage.
However, we have seen not much AP Galio in the past, and this looks like it is going to be an AP Galio. So interested to track whether the damage is comparable. Corki, of course, does some of the highest damage in the game, but I've seen lots of games played overseas where Galio is topping the damage. Just a different beast Also want to point out the fact that FBI has 3 wards and has not felt like he should drop any of them.
How long has he had it for? He's just been chilling on it for a while, sitting there. Yeah, Klepto ward. Sitting in his inventory. Spooks just having a wander here.
Generally, you would sell your Klepto ward, to be honest, just because it's a little bit of free gold. But I feel like the 2 trinket wards probably should be accounted for. And we can see a potential engage coming in here. Seb goes in. Rogue staunches. And successful disengage.
Yeah, Galio's looking for Corki. The Valkyrie does come out and does have the crab there to keep him at bay. Keep Swiffer away there. They're both the mid lane. It's just going to go back to bot lane.
So catch 30 up on CS wave. Top lane advantage. 20 odd, sorry. That's actually a flash pulp the ground. Nothing happening there.
This is a mess.
He jumps onto a trap. That is going to potentially be an ult burnt from Spooks. No, just walks this one out. But as you said, that's a mess.
That sucked. What was that? Come on. Both of them just messed that up. Rogue burns his flash again. He does have the Hex Flash. Maybe he just wants to get it off cooldown. You know, he wants to be Hex Flashing over walls to get the vision down. Wants to be looking for these opportunities. You know, Hex Flash is great. I don't care about Flash. Look, he burnt it. It's fine. But he's got the secondary right there.
He's got crappy Flash.
I think I rate it so highly. Hex Flash is so fun, so good.
We see Tally and Mega potentially window for them to gank him one more time. That's going to be the Ram hitting, and Jarvan should be able to get in here. Oh, gets interrupted out of the Flag and Drake. They bring Tom Kench as well. That's a lot of members, and now potentially mid lane and bottom lane going to be under fire.
Tiger wanted the dive there, but Rosie didn't tank, so they have to back off. You have to think they got the slowdown. He had no dash. Could have burned a flash potentially, but they are looking for this turret. Order are looking mid.
They dropped the Rift Herald as well.
Are they going to be able to get it? Corki, great ranged AoE wave clear. Has the Valkyrie as well, so that's just going to go down though. Too low on that turret. That Choo-Choos can't do a whole lot.
It's going to be the 2-for-1 trade as well. I mean, meanwhile, Swiffer in the bottom lane has just been sitting there taking shots at that turret. Galio, not the quickest turret taker in the world, but you just leave him by himself.
He's had a solid minute to just be whacking away at that one. He clears out the wave so quickly that he can push his own minion wave in. Very quickly there as they're looking. X-Flash coming out. Here we go.
Here we go. Actually gets him. Looking to headbutt him forward, but of course there is going to be the re-engage. Galio in the middle of everyone. Jarvan CC for so long. In comes Tally. That's going to be a kill. Swiffer looking for the taunt. Does only get one member. You can see Ornn, Bushy Boo Boo in the middle of everyone. Gets headbutted back, but he's so tanky. Falls down. Spooks overshoots right now. And that's going to be a really nice stopwatch coming out, and that will be Spooks falling down into the bloblets. You can see fight will continue, but Spooks should die here. There is not all that much Order can do, and a 2-for-2 trade.
2-for-2, very even. Neither team's 80 carries could get through the front line. They were just so tanky there. Front line standing in front, Ezreal just flinging Qs. Tiger, you mentioned, really nice stopwatch. Gets himself out of the kidnap by Spooks there, and just overextends, burns his flash, does go down, but very even trade here, and gold looking pretty even still.
Yeah, it certainly is. However, you have to think that there are some big purchases coming out. This was a pretty forced fight.
Yeah, the Hex Flash coming out of Rogue there does get denied by the Tami. That was the big thing, but you see the Galio ulti coming over the top there. Just got to go down, and all the tanks just TPing in. Ornn gets here fairly late, doesn't have the ulti available because we did see it in the top lane. But as you see, the tanks are just so tanky. Ornn eventually will go down, and so will Rogue. But here we go, the nice play. Last second forces the error from Spooks, basically. That's something we don't think about too much, but Tiger baited him in there. Basically just netted themselves another free kill, evened out that fight single-handedly.
And the one thing I want to point out is that Tally came in mega form, but at the very end, and was exhausted incredibly quickly and didn't get his ulti off. That whole time, Tally had his ulti available, was at one point on top of 3 members, but just could not use anything right there. So credit to Bombers fighting around their power windows. Of course, Mininar, absolutely not as big of a threat as what Meganar is.
Absolutely not. And this is an interesting deploy out of the Bombers. They have put Caitlyn in the top lane, so they do seed this dragon. It's only an air Drake, so they're probably not too fussed about that one. But
at the same time, I mean, when you've got a team that excels at engaging, do you really want to give them more late game mobility around the map?
I mean, they're not mobility, like move speed based engages though. You think about Zach, he doesn't care about move speed. He's just distance in terms of
he's a long jumper.
Yeah, he's just a long jumper. Your jump isn't calculated with move speed, so like it does seem on paper to help them a lot. It will help the alley out close the gap a little bit, but he's already got Mobies, so see the 1v1 with.
Yeah, it certainly was. He goes, picks up a rock, turns it into a boomerang somehow. That's always annoyed me.
Yeah.
but at the same time, whatever, nah, you do you.
Yeah, how do Mini Nar's hands do that? Mega Nar, you know, just smash it into bits and then...
Yeah, that would be pretty cute. Yeah. Mini Nar carrying around this whole boulder.
Imagine if you pick up a boulder and it has to stay a boulder. So he instead of flinging boomerangs, he's just lobbing rocks.
And imagine if it shortened the distance. That would be cool. You could just roll it a little bit.
I mean, it would just butcher
Stubs the toe of Orn.
Competitive balance would be out the window.
Orn's massive, by the way.
Yeah, he's a big boy.
Like, he created a door and stuff, which is kind of cool, but I feel like the one thing we never really talk about is like his sheer size. If you think that Malphite is the size of a mountain, Orn must be massive.
Absolutely. He's just a big rock. Maybe, I don't know, is he a part of Malphite?
Well, Malphite actually is tiny. That's a funny thing.
Yeah.
Like,
it's got, in terms of balance, like you can't just have something taking up the whole screen.
Yeah, Aurelion Sol just the size of
Star Dragon. His stars would be bigger than the model of Caitlyn there, but there is a bit of an invade here. Rogue looking to aggro the blue buff. Bombers looking to defend, but Spooks is over the wall.
See whether they can get an engage here. Spooks misses the jump again, and this time Choo Choo's returned some very nice damage. Flash forward again from Rogue, and that will be Choo's on the back end, having to burn the stopwatch already, and doesn't get over the wall with the Valk, so he has to use the flash. Orn gets a very nice double knock-up, and now Swiffer's going to be using the stopwatch. I can't keep track of everything right now on the back end. Bushy Boo Boo doing his job, gets the kill. And this is the order lineup being completely routed with Baron up. They look like they're going to flash forward. Gets Tiger on the end of that CC. Will cleanse out. However, Tally now falling very low. Rosie uses the eat to pick up a kill. And that is going to be Swiffer standing on a trap. Does get the taunt down. Shut down across for FBI. Everyone is so tanky. This fight has gone forever. Rosie and Swiffer now the two members that look very low. Tiger flashes the wall. Triple kill. Did FBI just hit a wall?
Just flashed into the wall there. Tiger lived for so long.
I mean, is that a 3 for 2 or did someone respawn? That's a 3 for 2.
That's a 3 for 2. That was just the longest team fight ever. Stopwatches all around, and something I saw Pastry Time tweet about actually was these stopwatch busters in the Caitlyn. There's actually so much better value in your trap if everyone's stopwatching, Zhonya's in the middle of a team fight, and you just get that free CC out of that one. And in that choke, people just going in there, stopwatching right in front of Tiger, just getting trap after trap. And that choke was just so good for the Bombers there. You'd think that engage was looking pretty good for Order there, but Tank's just too tanky. The flank coming out of Bushy Boo Boo, and
I mean, Order still won the fight 3-2. And Swiffer, who kind of played Duo Dade, was behind a little bit earlier and went back and got himself a Dark Seal. Now miraculously has 9 stacks.
Jesus, that's the value.
That is a value fight right there. 100%. We see right now Valkyrie actually in. However, Choose gets chunked out very low. Has to Valk back out.
He's an engaged Corky.
I like it.
He's an engaged Corky. He's been at the front lines every single fight.
Choose is playing well. He's farming at the clock, and he's 4-3-3. Seems that he likes the old matchup as well. Of course, I think that this will be his last week for Bombers. Luch will be coming back from suspension. So potentially just writing a very nice resume here in Game 1 for a potential other team.
Yeah, absolutely.
Call Aaron Bland if you're looking for a mid laner.
Can play Corky to great effect, but something we didn't really touch on is the rune choice out of target. He has gone the Spellbook. So in that fight, did get caught in the CC. The cleanse coming up huge.
That's cool. I like it.
Very
doesn't
safe.
really need anything, right?
Yeah. Outside of lane phase, obviously the cleanse in lane is going to be far weaker than a heal because in terms of the Alistar, like there's not much to cleanse, only the stun coming out after he knocks you up. You can't cleanse that one away, so really nice. Just makes him incredibly safe, and then Rosie potentially can use the Devour onto Choo Choo's because Tiger can take care of himself.
And obviously a big investment, but Cleanse Flash late game is one of the only forms of getting out of knock-up CC. Of course, you can cleanse the knock-up, the ability to not use abilities. Does that make sense?
Yep.
And then flash at the same time. So if something like Zac or the punch out of Galio, even things like the Mega Gnar in the headbutt pole, if you cleanse flash it, I mean, one of the ways to be able to dodge.
Yeah, can get out of there very quickly and continue to do damage. So,
because I feel like if he doesn't do that and Tahm Kench gets hit at the same time, Tahm Kench is dead. One thing we need to mention, Rosie, 3-1-2, battle Tahm Kench, more of your... I noticed that he ate someone in the last team fight.
100%. I back that. But in terms of you still talking about the cleanse flash, there's so much AoE CC coming out of the Order lineup.
Yep.
You have the Gnar ulti, the Zac engage, the taunt out of Galio, Alistar. So there's so many opportunities for Rosie to be caught up in the CC and therefore not able to help Choo Choo's, help Tiger out of those situations. So he's done really well so far.
Oof. That was a crit.
To navigate around these situations, yeah. Tiger hasn't got a kill to his name. He's sitting on the assist 80 carry. Who's the real support here? But
is also farming very well. You have to think that if you swap Rosie to 005 and Tiger to 312. This game looking much more promising right now for the Bombers.
Almost 3 items. And he'd be sitting pretty. And that's what you mentioned in Chancellor. Caitlin coming online at that stage. Has the range to be able to kind of kite around the skirt
Tally's
of
being
Galio.
caught out. Has to hop over that wall. You see on the back end, Order looking for an engage. However, Spooks lands on a trap. That's going to be the ram hit at both the tank and the carry. So he flashes away. Spooks to the tank. Get back in the team fight. Tally, however, frontlining very nicely, and Bushy Boo Boo in a little bit of trouble. That will be FBI hopping in, getting the kill, and Spooks big long-range engage. Tally potentially looking for a stun, not able to pick anything up, and that will be Bombers successfully disengaging.
Spooks flashing away, could have been the saving grace there. Leaves Bushy Boo Boo in the front lines all by himself, 0, 4, and 2, and you did mention his item choice, went for that gauntlet, and now has the Righteous Glory, not opting in for pure tank stats, so in these tank-offs, in these long team fights here, he is the one dying first because he just doesn't have that pure resist as the Baron is started up for Order.
And you can see now that Order has all their tanks online, one of which is a Zac that gets a lot of his health back. They are confident just doing this. FBI gets chunked out, however, does not go towards his team and gets shut down. That is so much of the damage, and now the Bombers want in. 4-man Cataclysm right now out of Seb. You can see Spooks takes him back with the team. Swiffer burns the Zonya's Hourglass, and this is Bushy Boo Boo looking for the re-engage. Get to the blast plant, gets himself over the wall. Ram comes out and will be looking actually for Rogue.
Was the closest one there and did have red buff applied by Tiger, but can they get back on the Baron? They're just going mid.
No jungler available.
No jungler. Spooks can obviously get into the pit from over the Golem, so far away with the Zac engage. So they are going to take the consolation prize in the mid lane turret. Looking to push that one in, but that's a turnaround team fight for the Bombers.
Certainly is 4v5, and they're able to make it work. Seb's engage, that team fight, was massive.
That was huge.
And we need to point out, he's got himself a Black Cleaver, so his Cataclysm does a little bit of damage.
He's doing damage, shredding for Tiger, shredding for Choo Choo's there, not to mention Choo Choo's on the start of that fight.
Look at top wave, look at bottom wave, however. That will be the signal for Order to go straight back to Baron. No teleport this time means they one more time want to force the 4v5.
Can they get there in time? They're choosing not to. They're just backing away. Pings do come out now. Seb wants to check it. But it's just going to be too late. 4K, 3K, 2 right now. It's just gone.
Yeah, I mean, a little bit of a misplay there. Choo Choo's gets a little bit damaged. Looks like they still want to fight. They bring Bushy Boo Boo into the front line. And Choo Choo's every time is just chunking out FBI. Has no package available. Spooks gets chunked out. Will fall down right now. And a big ultimate out of Bushy Boo Boo.
They TP, they do.
They TP to it, trying to save the Zac right now over the side. He actually did have the package and he still dies somehow.
FBI just snipes away. Choo Choo's on the back end of that. The trap coming through Rogue. Big deal out of him. He tanks the trap for Spooks because he's going to survive with a TP, but he's going to be very low. Caitlin Auto would have finished him off, but Rogue, great teammate there, has the Baron, just steps on the trap himself, tanks the auto. Spooks lives. And now with the Warmogs, he's full HP.
Yeah, exactly right. And with the only form of wave clear dead, this will be Order marching up mid lane. They used one ultimate, that whole engage, and Rogue wants back in. Spooks channeling that elastic slingshot. Goes on to Rosie, looking to potentially kidnap him back into the team. No, does not go for it. Instead, they prioritize the turret, and now they'll look at the inhibitor.
And the tanks on the side of Order are just running distraction here. Tiger's trying to do his best, but Hex Flash out of Rogue. Spooks is diving into the backline, gets them access to the turret. Caitlin, you think about the AD carries. She has a very good time dealing with inhibitor pushes there, but she didn't have the traps available, couldn't set them up.
And Tiger this game is 50 CS up and has not died against an Alistar, Zac, Gnar, as well as a Galio comp.
He's playing very well, but it's just the same as last week. They just can't unlock him. He's done very well individually. His score looks great. His CS numbers are up. He's doing tons of damage, but Bombers just can't seem to cohesively work around that and get that into a position where it renders them an advantage.
But last week we talked about, Ezreal's ability to live and continue to do damage. That makes him a hyper carry. Much in the same way, Caitlin late game bridges all the things that she got taken away from her. The lack of attack speed, the fact that Headshot got nerfed and no longer shreds as much armor, so she has to get the last Whisper. If right now Tiger gets towards that 6 item point as Caitlin, it will be very hard for any tank to reach her. And as long as Bushy Boo Boo and Seb can stay alive, this looks favorable for the Bombers.
Yeah, 100%. 6 item Caitlin, one of the scariest AD carries. She has a dash. She has CC herself. If she gets that last Whisper, there's a lot of armor on the side of Order now. Random wins for Tally, Gargoyle for Spooks there, and you even have the Zonyas coming out of Swiffer, so he will start to be doing a lot more damage. He has picked himself up a Potion of Wrath. They are really hunkering down.
Death
Try and
Cap?
defend this, potentially. Maybe Ludens.
Does Ludens do anything on Galio?
Gives him a bit of move speed there. It's pretty useful, actually, in terms of your W. Like, it does... that's one of the biggest things with Galio. You can dash forward, but then if Caitlyn dashes away, if you have the extra move speed to be able to catch up, that's pretty big.
Big engage one more time onto Rosie. You can see Tally nearly has the full Naba. Will be transforming quite soon. So Bombers, I like the call. Mid lane inhibitor really doesn't give all that much at this stage of the game, so they just give it up.
And they just are looking to hold this bot inhib now. The top lane for them is good, so if they can hold this, they do have time. That wave is favorable. They sack the mid one. They know it's going to go down anyway, but here comes the hold.
I mean, top lane is so far away, and they have Caitlyn traps. Against Caitlyn, you kind of have to be able to push 2 waves, and they're not going to be able to do that. So I think this is a dead end for Order. I think they kind of just have to reset and take care of their wave.
Another wave is coming. Rogue has Baron that one up. See if he does opt in for the Hex Flash engage again. Spooks has just been dashing in, and here he does it again, just to get them off the turret. Then they're not going to fight. They're just looking for the turret.
Oh, this time they might be fighting. He actually grabs 3 of them and takes them into the back line. Choo Choo's falls down very low. Seb also there, but that's going to be Bushy Boo Boo getting taken down. Rosie will be next, and that is Order commanding teamfight victory there. Spooks jumps in one more time. But Tiger, again, is just untouched on the back line. If his front line stayed alive, that would have been a good team fight.
They're just struggling here. Even the ulti out of Swiffer was cancelled. You saw the animation for half a second there. Didn't even come through, but the 7k gold lead, 8k now for Order, just coming up trumps. The waves are pushing in. That's super creeps. Demolish on the turrets.
Yeah, this is going to be hard to hold. You can see Choo Choo's is just being chased away by Tally, and that is their wave clear. Flash headbutt pole onto Tiger. This might be his first death. He falls down. You see Seb, he's trying to help on the back line, but there is absolutely nothing he can do. Finally, Choo Choo's gets back to defend his fountain, but 1v5, this will be a difficult task. And it looks like Order will just be able to chip down the Nexus and take game 1.
That will be game 1 after they've had their stats, of course. It wouldn't be game 1 of the day without this happening. We saw it Chiefs versus Direwolves. We're seeing it again today. They do opt in to kill the Nexus. Great job,
no
boys.
one. They just wasted all. I want that 5 seconds of my life back. Stats
if they're not racing against the clock, come on. You can give them a few seconds here and there as everyone else bar Rogue seems...
I mean, they don't look happy. They're kind of smirking, but
I think they look happy.
I think that game was a little bit closer than what Order would have expected out of a couple of subs.
Yeah, I think definitely. You saw Seb get access to both solo lanes early in the game. And that was huge. That was absolutely huge. That's what they needed to then convert that into mid-game and possibly get an advantage. But Order just kept picking up the objectives. They got the Dragons. Basically for free, got the Infernal into the air Drake.
Well, it's kind of the same versus Tectonic. The game looked very poised, very balanced, but Order would just like get an extra turret, an extra Drake, and then all of a sudden, even though Urgot was very fed last week, the game was kind of over. This week, looked like Caitlyn, we were just waiting for the team fight. Tiger was positioning so well, just waiting for him to take over. But because Order, you know, the 2-for-1 turret trade, the ability to take the Baron because of 2 big minion sideways, I mean, in the end, they kind of just inevitably rolled over the top, but that didn't look clean.
Not to mention repetitively taking the Baron. They do have the tanks to just be able to start up this objective, and Spooks are just sitting there with the Warmogs like, hey guys, I'm tanking Baron, come fight us. We have this little bit of a lead, and we want more. So they just started this one up, and then if it didn't work, they'd reset, they push out the waves again, and they just try again, and it worked.
And I think that's kind of the advantage of Zac, because Zac with Warmogs especially kind of doesn't take damage during the objective, during the due to the boblets, and then Warmogs, he just exit the fight for 2 seconds. He wants to get max range for the slingshot out of Fog of War anyway. It just matches his playstyle so well.
Yeah, 100%. And as you said, give him an inch, they take a mile. Order just able to get these small little advantages, work them through, and then coming together in those team fights. They just kept winning these team fights by 1 kill, right? You saw 3 for 2. You saw Spooks flashing out of the mid lane engage, but then Bushy Boo Boo going down, so they had access to the objectives. And it was just these small, tiny little advantages that just meant so much.
And at the same time, we said we wanted to track how the 3 stable members of the Bombers would do. And I think the answer to that is incredibly well in this game.
100%. The bot lane looked crisp, I think, out of the Bombers there. Rosie and Tiger performed very well. Rosie, despite having, I mentioned, the dangers of all these AoE CCs, did not get caught up, and that was able to keep people alive. Tiger, great positioning, the stopwatch play in the mid lane, stellar stuff, switching to the cleanse, just was in the right position all the times, but unfortunately the gold lead was just insurmountable at a certain point. Tanks were just dying too early. He couldn't get enough damage uptime for these fights, and they just couldn't pull out the win. And then, yeah, Seb, ganking all the lanes early, did his job there, engaging 4-man Cataclysm around Baron, did so much work, but just couldn't transition.
Yeah, certainly couldn't. At the same time as well, this week the subs stepped up. I mean, Choo solo kill for first blood. Artifern's in the top lane, setting up multiple ganks.
Yep.
They, Bushy Boo Boo, they looked good.
Yeah, 100%. And I think the big thing is that Order were just more proactive. In terms of Bombers play this week, I kind of liken them to Legacy, whereas Order were just setting up these plays, just keeping going for these plays. Zach going in constantly, Ali hex flashing in.
Would
they
you
don't get
call
anything.
them head rammers?
I'd call them head rammers. 100%. I love being a head rammer. That's a sick way to play. That's a fun way to play.
All right, so the head rammers pick up game one. However, guys, don't go anywhere because Laura and Carver are alongside to kind of break down that game.
Thanks, Jake. Yes, we are going to break down some of that game. And I have to say, even though Order did pick up that first game, it was much closer than I think we were all anticipating. Bombers looked like a different team. They looked stronger. And even though they had Bushy Boo Boo in the top lane, who doesn't play top or isn't known for playing top at all, and they had Choo-Choos in the mid lane.
Yeah, it was fun. That was a good game. I enjoyed that. Yeah, I thought Order did a lot better than Bombers did a lot better than I expected. But at the same time, I don't think Order played particularly bad. There was a comment made on the desk about it didn't look very clean. I thought it was just a close game. You know, it wasn't like Order were just miles ahead all game and they just kept throwing. They were just close team fights, and I thought both teams played quite well.
Spawn was saying that Choo-Choos was very good in the mid lane, but we kind of thought he was a bit hit and miss, especially in those team fights.
Yeah, Choos. Bombers, I think they played a lot better this week. That was a great game compared to last week, but I think Choos he had the potential to carry there, and he had moments of brilliance, but at the same time he was letting it slip a bit as well. I mean, we saw big fight at Baron, where in the first Baron, Aaron Choos gets he solo kills FBI, and the very next one he gets solo killed by FBI, and that was sort of the story of the game when Corki was finding the damage, and when Choos was able to get rockets and those big static shiv procs, they were doing really well. But then there was just a couple times where he just got his Valkyrie caught or wasn't doing enough damage.
After that first Baron fight, you were sitting there going, go for Baron, but instead they went for the mid lane. Do you think that maybe that second Baron fight could have been averted if they had decided to go for Baron, even though Seb was dead and they didn't have anyone with smite?
Yeah, maybe. Zach was still alive, so there's always a chance of a steal, but they just spent a lot of time just chasing low health members when I would have liked to have just seen them commit to an objective straight away. But it can be pretty difficult in the moment when you see flashing red health bars on the enemy team. You just want to kill them so bad. So I mean, I can't really blame them for it. But I would have liked to have seen them do something else.
Focusing on the bot lane as well, the Bombers, Tiger and Rosie were able to take down FBI and Rogue, who are notoriously known as probably being one of the strongest lanes in Oceania. And even though Tiger was on Kate, you were saying that Rosie in particular played really well.
I think. Well, to be fair, I thought both sides of the bot lane played quite well. I think Caitlyn obviously wins that lane, and then they had lane pressure for a long time. But then the CS was still even, and so FBI was doing a good job of staying relevant. And then, but I really liked Rosie the first time ult. I thought that was quite creative, punishing the overstay from Order. I think it's a bit. Ability to punish, I think, is super important in League. It's one thing for an enemy to make a mistake, but it's another thing to recognize that and actually act on it. So I really liked that from Rosie. And then he had a couple clutch eats throughout the game, and I thought that the bot lane from the Bombers played very well. And I think if they can get a favourable sort of matchup for next game as well, I think we might be in for another good game.
Well, that's all from us now, but don't go anywhere. We'll be back with game number 2 right after a break and these highlights.
Swiffer, however, see whether he can get him. Heal is out. First blood goes over to Choo-Choos, and Swiffer is dead. In comes Tally. That's going to be a kill. Swiffer looking for the taunt. Does only get one member. You can see Orn, Bushy Boo Boo in the middle of everyone. Gets headbutted back, but he's so tanky. Falls down. Spooks overshoots right now. And that's going to be a really nice stopwatch coming out, and that will be Spooks falling down into the bloblets. Tally now falling very low. Rosie uses the eat to pick up a kill. And that is going to be Swiffer standing on a trap. Does get the taunt down. Shut down across for FBI. Everyone is so tanky. This fight has gone forever. Rosie and Swiffer now the two members that look very low. Tiger flashes the wall. Triple kill. But this time they might be fighting. He actually grabs 3 of them and takes them into the back line. Choo-Choos falls down very low. Seb also there, but that's going to be Bushy Boo Boo getting taken down. Rosie will be next, and that is Order commanding teamfight victory there. Finally, Choo-Choos gets back to defend his fountain, but 1v5, this will be a difficult task, and it looks like Order will just be able to chip down the Nexus and take game one.